She was wrongfully convicted of murdering her husband and sent to prison. Until this day, when she made a call and discovered
Daddy!
Nick?
her husband wasn't dead after all. He was with her best friend. Nick swiftly ripped out the phone cord. Libby kept dialing, but the line was dead. Libby was stunned. Suddenly it dawned on her. Had her husband faked his death? Had he orchestrated this scheme to frame her, send her to prison, and collect the massive insurance payout, then live with her best friend? Proving her innocence from prison was nearly impossible. Her only recourse was the insurance company, but they refused to believe her. Her lawyer cellmate warned her. Overturning a conviction from prison would take years and had a 95% failure rate, so she advised Libby to accept reality. After release, find her husband and kill him. Legally, one crime couldn't be tried twice. Once she ended his life, the law couldn't convict her for it again. Libby took the advice and began daily workouts. While others chatted, she strengthened her core. While others rested, she ran in the rain. The prospect of seeing her son again fueled her drive. Before she knew it, 6 years had passed. Cellmates celebrated her 8-year-old son's birthday. Libby earned parole for good behavior, not in prison, but in a downtown residence supervised by a probation officer for 3 years. Yet strict rules applied. No fights, no altercations, and mandatory return by 8:30 p.m. Breach any term, and the officer would send her back. But Libby finally had a chance to find her son. First, she needed to locate her best friend. This was the kindergarten where her best friend had worked. The principal told her Maddie and Angel had lived there for 6 years. If Libby appeared now, it would only disrupt his life, so she refused to give Angel's address. That night, Libby took advantage of the darkness. She smashed the glass with an elbow. Meanwhile, the parole officer noticed Libby hadn't returned. He had long suspected Libby would seek out her son. Libby opened the files and found Angie's address. By then, police had arrived, launching an intense chase. 4 years of prison training made Libby agile. She quickly escaped the kindergarten. The officers pursued her to the nearby coast. Libby hid behind tree roots and executed a shoulder throw on the police car. Since it was sandy ground and the officers were wearing seatbelts, they escaped unharmed. They eventually caught up to Libby and subdued her. She violated her parole and would be returned to prison. The journey back required a ferry. Throughout the trip, Libby insisted on her innocence. But how could the parole officer possibly believe her? He handcuffed Libby to the door handle and went upstairs to drink coffee. Libby devised an escape plan. Noticing the officer hadn't taken the keys and glancing at the hose, she started the car and began maneuvering. After repeated collisions, the red vehicle plunged into the water. The officer spotted her, but the door handle proved remarkably sturdy. As he approached, Libby slammed the accelerator. The officer jumped in and they plunged into the lake together. Fortunately, the window was open. The officer quickly unlocked her handcuffs. They sank rapidly beneath the surface. After freeing herself, Libby grabbed the gun and used the current to propel herself upward. As she surfaced, the officer reached for her, but Libby spun around and struck him with the butt of the gun, swimming away in the opposite direction. The officer was pulled to safety by lifeguards. Everyone watched him, except one boy who turned his gaze toward the nearby shore. Libby had escaped. Libby hitched a ride to the home she hadn't seen in years. Her mother made a living growing tomatoes. She dug into the ground and unearthed an aluminum box. Inside was her mother's secret stash of cash. She handed the money to her daughter without asking questions and let her take the family's green car. In critical moments, only family truly helps. Libby first visited a dealership, pretending to buy a car on credit, asking the salesperson to check her credit score, so Libby gave her bestie's social security number. After getting the address, she left immediately. Then she tracked down her bestie's new residence. Armed with a pistol, she headed straight for the mansion, perhaps bought with the insurance money from her husband. After ringing the doorbell, the homeowner inside wasn't her husband. The woman of the house told her they'd just moved in. "You can ask the elderly lady next door." Libby then found the old woman and finally learned the truth about her bestie. It turned out that 3 years ago, Angel had died in an accident. A gas leak had caused an explosion. Fortunately, her father had taken her son out that day. Libby found the newspaper from that year. Her bestie's death in the explosion made the news. Only Libby knew it had to be her husband's doing.